And welcome everybody to a new CIRF report. I apologize, I'm getting this out a little bit later than I wanted, but a lot of things going on, and we're going to show you that in the stars, in the astrology. Remember what we're doing here. We're looking for the biggest influence that we have the biggest chance of everybody feeling this one particular energy. And then at the very end of our CIRF report, we'll show you the main solution of how to maximize this energy. And we do that with I-Ching readings. We look at the DreamBot, which is a collection of dreams and subconscious material. We call that the collective unconscious. And then the purple circle, this is our triangulation map. We're looking for the astrology, and we're going to drill down the astrology for every day this week, but to give you an overview, we have 4 planets in Scorpio, so very intense and passionate. We have a new moon that's tonight, Sunday. We have Mercury going retrograde around Halloween time frame, or on Halloween. We have Venus going into Sagittarius, and we have a whole bunch of other aspects, including kind of an unusual trine to Chiron, which we'll talk about. It makes it easy to be helping others. Relationships are going to get a boost this week, especially with Venus going into Sagittarius. But we're getting a face full of reality based on what we're seeing. Because if people are hurting, which is the case with Chiron, we're going to be not obsessed about, but hyper attention to people in need. And with the collective unconscious, of course, Halloween's coming up, so we're going to see a lot of that, but we also have that Scorpio. And there's a lot of learning. The DreamBot, the collective unconscious, does not overlap necessarily with the I-Ching reading, at least the influence part of it. The influence part of it is I-Ching hexagram 21. It's called Gnawing Through. If all of this is over your head, don't worry. We're going to nail all this down. Just hang with me for a little bit. We're going to start with the DreamBot, the green circle here. It's a small segment of the overall influences, but it's a really important one because the collective mind shows us what's next. We were showing in Project August 2014 that we could predict the future based on dreams. And so there's a lot of future material in those dreams, which is kind of scary if you look at this. This is the collective unconscious, folks. Top word is witch. And there's a couple of meanings. I mean, I could probably talk 15, 20 minutes on this DreamBot alone, but I don't want to. I don't want to spend a lot of time here. Basically, there's Halloween stuff in here, but there's also like war kind of stuff. So like Pluto and Mars. And you can see that in here. But it's a lot of Halloween and Scorpio, and I just grouped it all together. It's just intensity. That's what it is. And vindictiveness and all the Scorpio things are in that red arrow. In the yellow arrows are school and learning. And you're going to see that with Mercury. I think Mercury Retrograde, for example, we're going to probably be relearning. Mercury is not just communication and thoughts, but it's also like learning and the kind of the basic type of learning. And so we're going to be going back to our university or back to the University of Life and relearn some material. We'll get to that later. Next, let's break down the astrology. I'm going to try to go through here fairly quick. We're going to look at hopefully every single day, starting with Sunday. Tonight, for those of you who are seeing this DreamBot run, you are afforded the opportunity of knowing what this new moon is. It's at 10:37 p.m. Central Standard Time, Central Daylight Time. That's the time is up here in the upper left-hand corner. Upper right-hand corner is the daylight saving time. And it's set right now for the new moon. And new moon implies that the moon is overlapped or conjunct with the sun. It's in Scorpio. Let's put the highlighter on so you can see this. You can't help but see all these blue planets and entities, and that means that it's in water. So we have the moon, sun, Venus, and Mercury in Scorpio. That's water. We have the North Node and part of Fortune, which is in Cancer, and we also have Neptune and Pisces. All this water, 6 or 7 planets slash entities in or equations, part of fortune, important Arabic part. We can consider that 6 or 7 planets in water. So it's a lot of emotions, a lot of emotions that are intense because most of this energy is in Scorpio. Scorpio has a passion and intensity like no other. And so you might be feeling that already as Moon has entered, making this the 4th planet in Scorpio. So anyway, we have Scorpio and the Moon at 4 degrees, 25 minutes Scorpio, and it opposes Uranus. It's almost an exact opposition at the time of the new moon. This is a beautiful time for changes. You know what? Uranus isn't just about change and sudden change. It's also about insight and maybe even psychic kind of stuff. It's like, if Tesla was revolutionizing a new patent or a new technology or any inventor, it's the planet of inventions. And so inventing your life, the new moon implies that it's a new cycle, a new emotional cycle, a new emotional response, a new you, basically a new you. And this is a great opportunity to force that change upon yourself in a revolutionary way. And because this energy that you're afforded is very passionate, so I would be looking at what your emotions are most passionate about, most intent. You can also probably see a little bit of secret nature, hidden influences, and maybe even vindictiveness. Scorpio is kind of a time of dark and doesn't like to play out in the daylight and doesn't like to play by other people's rules. And so you might be feeling that energy. Again, it's not good or bad. It just is, and it's very intense. It's an intense energy. So use that in some sort of a ceremony or design your new life on that new moon. 10:37 daylight savings time central time. So adjust accordingly and do your due diligence with finding a nice ceremony that can highlight, or just deep meditation on making your life new insights, the new you. Okay, that's what I'm recommending there. And then while we're at it, we are going to see Mars square Pluto all this week. All right, and so what do we have? We have Pluto is planet of death and rebirth. It's the destroyer. It's the hidden forces. It's the hidden power. And squared up to Mars being in Libra and wants to fight for balance. It's not technically true balance, objective. It doesn't, not necessarily objective balance. It would just be what I believe is fair, and that could be slanted and subjective. And so anyway, when you're fighting for what's fair, you might be causing more obstructions because the square is obstructed, conflicted. It's going to cause some heartaches for you when you go up against this this really secret, deep, even vindictive and hidden influence, Pluto. So we're going to be talking about that throughout this time. Let's move on to Monday. And around 10 a.m., you're going to start to see some more trines happening. And the trines indicates good, easy energy. Here it is. You've got 3 of them here. We already talked about the Mars square Pluto. So be aware that when you're fighting for something, and mainly fighting for fairness or balance, or whatever Mars house is in your chart, when you're ever fighting for that, you might end up creating conflict, especially if you're using sort of a more dark force to get that, to carry that out. But what is easy here is Sun trine Neptune, so it could be kind of dreamy. And you also have the Saturn sextile Neptune. So, and there's also an inconjunct with Mars. Now, Mars is unfortunate here because this is your yang force. There's not really an easy way to go with your ability to move forward. The Mars energy, the one that was willing to fight for something, you can't go this way to easily, and it's going to be agitated and a need for tweaking over here on this one. So your yang energy shouldn't be going to imagine things. And that's where Neptune is. There's easier ways to do it. And so in this case, the sun and the moon are basically still conjunct at this point. You can just use your emotions. Follow your emotions are going to be even smarter, even easier to imagine, and more effective in the long run at not creating more obstacles. So if you've heard of human design, there's this thing called authority, and the solar plexus is the emotions. It shows you how to use the emotions for checking whether validating decisions. And so those of you who have emotional authority of the solar plexus should be using your emotions anyway, and this one should help. Should make that energy easy. But also you have Venus trine Chiron and Mercury trine Chiron. So your thoughts are associated with, oh, this icy planet. The metaphor or the story is that this is a warrior who got hurt in battle, and so he's spending a long time trying to heal himself, figures out he can't, but then realizes that as he's healing other people, he actually heals himself. And so this energy, if it's a trine to Mercury, which is now your thoughts are associated with helping other people, but Venus is already a harmony planet. It's a harmony and beauty, and it's more focused on helping the unfortunate or the ones in need. And so that's going to be an easy influence early in the week. All the trines are associated with on Monday. Let me make it very specific. On Monday, you have 2 influences over to Chiron, and it's good, healthy, easy, very nice energy over to Chiron. All right, now let's go to Tuesday, and you're going to see that this energy goes on hyperdrive, and you're going to see an intense helper with a triple trine over to Chiron. And this is going to be the 29th, around a little bit more, around 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m. There, that's good enough. You can see there how now we've got the moon involved here. So you got your emotions involved. These are all together, Venus, moon, and Mercury, trine, Chiron. And so this is the intense helper, intensity, because all these planets are over in Scorpio. And we still have the other planets or planetoids in water signs. So it's emotional and it's strong, and they're all easy energy over to Chiron. So helping other people to help yourself. If you don't feel that, if you don't feel that helping other people influence this week or early in the week, then look for helping yourself. The influence, like you wanting to help yourself, that might be a sign that you're in that Chiron thing. So try to help other people so that you can help yourself if you're in that predicament early in the week. On Wednesday, it's pretty much the same. We're going to add, we're going to lose the moon trine, but we're going to add a square. The moon's going to start squaring over to Neptune, and we can see that here. Now this is at in the afternoon on the 30th, and you can start seeing the moon. I don't normally stop here for moon aspects, but we're taking away the emotional, I guess the empathy part. We're taking away the empathy part. Maybe your thoughts are more obsessed, not more obsessed, but still thinking about helping other people or helping yourself or healing other people, that sort of thing. But the emotions are different. Emotions are wishing for something else. The emotions are daydreaming about a new life, that sort of thing. And it's conflicted, of course. It's like kind of wishing I wasn't here. This is a alignment of escapism. This is at its peak here, and that's going to be on 30th, Wednesday, somewhere in the middle of the day, And you might going to be faced with some sort of situation that has you wanting to escape. And that's the Neptune influence, and it's squared. And if you do escape, like drugs, skip out on your job, or, escaping your emotions basically can involve anything, including going to the gym, something healthy. You could be escaping in going to sleep, which is a healthy activity, but if it's a form of escape, you're going to produce some conflict in your life. So don't be escaping anything, especially on Wednesday. Don't be escaping your emotions on Wednesday. On Thursday, this is when a lot of stuff happens. This is a big day. Not only is this Halloween, but we also have Mercury going retrograde, and it's going to go retrograde around 11 o'clock a.m. So right there, it still hasn't shown up. There it is. So we are, I just happened to stop at 11:30. I think the retrograde begins, or the station begins, at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Daylight Time. And it says retrograde here, but it's actually going station, which means that it's, in our perspective, Mercury is freezing its position for a while. And that makes this energy, it makes this trine even stronger. It's the only aspect, this in the conjunction, the only aspect that Mercury has are the Venus, the conjunct, and the trine to Chiron. So those energies get amplified when you're in station because there's no movement there. It's like a more of a bigger spotlight. So that energy gets, kind of highlighted there for a period of time, and then Mercury start inching backwards. And when it goes into retrograde, I think this is where the Dreambot was talking about kind of going back to school. For those of you who are out of school, you're going to be, it's not really a school thing, it's life school. And you might be revisiting some old scenarios, some lessons that we haven't really learned yet, or maybe we've learned something in life, but we've forgotten how to orchestrate that or prevent that problem from happening, or learning how to fix that problem. Maybe we've forgotten. Maybe we need to be chiseled again and relearn that lesson. Okay, so it's lesson time starting on Wednesday. Mercury retrograde. Be careful with, travel. Mercury is also thoughts. So maybe memories of the past, maybe memories of how you got hurt, that kind of stuff. That's showing up on Halloween, the 31st. And then what else do we have? We have a little bit later in the afternoon. Let's go look at it because this is important. At 3:25 p.m., we are looking at Venus going into Sagittarius. Hasn't happened yet. You're going to see it. Well, maybe I'm on the wrong day. So November 1st. Okay, but that's what it is. All right, on November 1st, yes, we have Venus in Scorpio, so it's just about there. 29 degrees of Scorpio, and this is the 1st. This is early in the day. Now we'll just go ahead and get Venus over into Sagittarius, and then we can talk about it. All right. So this is 5 o'clock in the evening, Central Daylight Time. We've added another square this is the moon again, squared over to Mars. So the moving forward thing is very contentious right now, and it's going to be contentious all week long. It doesn't mean you can't move forward. It doesn't mean you can't get stuff done. It's just the manner in which you're doing this. You can't be too strong. You can't be using hidden forces. That's Pluto. You can't really be too sure about the way things should be. That's Saturn. And you shouldn't be too emotionally invested in your wanting to fight and move forward. Okay, so it's a peace-mongering week, And it's a week of focusing on other people's healing if you want to heal yourself, which we always do. We just really want to avoid these square aspects over here, this avenue over here. But the bigger picture also is Venus. This is what I wanted to talk about. Venus still trying over to Chiron, but it's in Sagittarius. And this really makes, and you can see Venus is in red now. That's because she's in fire. And the Sagittarius fire is about relationships. And, Sagittarius is don't hold me down. Don't keep me constricted. So this is a wonderful time to light up the relationship again. We had Venus in Scorpio, which is very intense and very passionate. That it's neither good nor bad again, but neither is Sagittarius good or bad. It's there's a whole different kind of deep secret depth kind of emotional construct in Scorpio, and that suddenly changes in your relationships as we head into Sagittarius, almost completely the opposite energy as we go galloping off into the sunset. You might as well do that together. If you've got someone close to that you're harmonizing with, go on a long trip. Plan for the holiday season together. Long-term planning would be great in Sagittarius, but it's the sensation of being curious and free. By the way, Sagittarius is the higher level learning. We talked earlier about the basic learning, but remember the Dreambot was about learning. So it could be about harmonizing learning, like relational learning. So learning at a much more profound level. This is like the philosopher. Sagittarius is the philosopher. So if you can imagine a couple that's doing more philosophical work and such, that's kind of the influence of Venus in Sagittarius. Also, long-range financial planning would be something great, and thinking big in terms of budget and financial investments and contracts and stuff. Oh, all right. So now let's head into the second, and we're going to be going to 7:30 in the morning, and we're going to see Moon conjunct the South Node. When Moon conjuncts the South Node, we have an emotional investment or emotional memory of something that might have happened in the past. Or this isn't just the recent past. This is the long range past. This is almost like karma. And South Node represents a lot of karma. This is Saturday at about 7:30, close enough. I stopped at 6:30, an hour prior. And I must have had my times wrong. Well, anyway, we are looking at when the moon is over. There we go. Oh, okay, on the first, 7:18 p.m. So we're still on the first. This is a fairly big one. The moon is going to be conjunct with the South Node. And the moon transits fairly quickly, but during that period, it's kind of an emotional force that kind of reminds you of karma, or reminds you of your life path or where you were. And it almost might be nostalgia, but also maybe a gratitude for where you are now, hopefully. If not, then we really need to be looking at what it is that we need to be doing in this life, so that when we do grow old, you can look back on your life and go, yeah, I think I did it. I think I did the lesson I needed to learn here. I had the experiences I needed to learn. That's the kind of thing we're looking for here with Moon conjunct South Node. All right, moving forward to the second. Now is 7:30 a.m. And we're looking for Capricorn planets. Remember, we started the week with a lot of water signs. Now we're looking at a lot of earth signs. And you can see that now. I'm at 7:14 in the morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are Earth planets. So everything is more Earth-based. Now it's just practical. Now it's very practical. It's what I need to be getting done. Don't stop me. Don't stop me from getting to the top of the mountain. That's Capricorn. I'm going to be achieving, and you're not going to stop me. Don't confuse this with Mars that wants to just break through and bust through every hurdle that's in its way. And that's not going to be beneficial. That's just going to cause problems. That's different than having some goals and achieving them. It's a subtle difference, I know, but Mars could be more. I don't really care about how I get it done. Capricorn is very conscientious, and so there's another difference with this Earth energy that's presenting itself. Okay, that's big because it's we need to be Earth-based. We need to be practical. We need to be grounded. And you may feel automatically grounded, which is not a bad thing either. By the way, you can see that the sun is still on the waning side of this opposition over to Uranus. I bring that up because Uranus is in Taurus, is also an Earth sign. So even your changes are going to be some sort of material change. All right. Now, as we get into Sunday, it's basically our most neutral day. We have 3 squares still, those same 3 squares, and we also have 3 trines, and it's just everything we've been talking about. That's November 3rd. Nothing real special, nothing new anyway that we haven't talked about already. And I think we've covered most of everything. I actually, this Venus, freshly in Sagittarius, is making an inconjunct over to Uranus. And that's going to need some adjustment, and it's needed. And that goes along with Venus just going into Sagittarius, so having that new energy to work with, that new long range, and just galloping off into the sunset and just far and wide as you can go, and don't hold me down energy. It really goes well with Uranus, but there's kind of another escapism. If things aren't going the way ego wanted to, then especially in terms of relationship, that's going to be Uranus, and it's going to be a sudden change. And so the escapism that Sagittarius has is just running off into the distance and never coming back. And that's not necessarily the answer, unless, of course, the emotions is saying yes. All right. Now it's time to look at the and I forgot this. We're going to look at the I-Ching, but I wanted to show you the chart here. This is how we see all these different planets and which signs they're in, and what astrological sign they're in, and then all of the aspects. All right, let's get rid of the highlighter and go into the I-Ching. I got a picture of the coins. This week we did pennies, and I periodically use different types of coins. This one was done in a different location, so pennies are a lot smaller than what I normally use. Just showing the first line, which is 9, and a change line. 9 is the change line. If all these coins are the same, then and they're on that yang side, then it goes to yang, and it's a change line. We had 3 change lines, meaning that there's a lot of insight as to hexagram 21 and a lot of context that this is. And if we break these up into two trigrams, we have fire over thunder. And that may not mean much to anybody, but it's basically this hexagram is biting through. Let's talk about what that means. Biting through has success. It is favorable to let justice be administered. Something tends to destroy the harmony. Clenched teeth have a dual character. On the one hand, the restoration of unity with force. On the other, the destruction of grinding. Do not fear. It is good time to take advantage of strife. Prejudices are destroyed. Thoughts converge. but there is no freedom of action. Ooh, that does not sound like Sagittarius, like Venus in Sagittarius, does it? Remember, this is just the I-Ching description or guess about what the main influence is. And so if I were to just put this into layman's terms, the influence of hexagram 21 is seeing life as it is without seeing it in a different way. All right, so let's look at the lines. You saw that there were 3 change lines. So number 1 is a chance to correct course. If we see this problem clearly, if we see life clearly without our stories about it or our interpretations or our perceptions, which always induce more error, if we can see it clearly, we can correct our course. Change line 3, speak up about corruption or dysfunction. And change line 4, grit is afforded for the hardest of problems. So even though we have Mars conflicted on a square, squared up to Pluto, we still have grit available according to the I-Ching. And so you can sustain, you can see life clearly. You don't have to shade it with positivity. You don't have to shade it with more egoic desires. You can just see it as it is. And that's what this 21 line is all about. All right. Does that make sense? There's a lot going on in the astrology, and the I-Ching just basically says, don't try to make positive what you're seeing. Just see it for what it is. Okay? And don't add emotion to it. So the way we get the solution, the way we orchestrated this I-Ching reading, is that if there are change lines, which there's 3 here, then this second hexagram will be the solution. And our solution is 52. Mountain over mountain, bound, keeping still. So you have all this chaos in the sky, and our task is, the solution is to just remain still. Here's the judgment according to the Book of Changes. Keeping still. Keeping back still so that no longer feels his body. He goes into the courtyard and does not see his people. No blame. Mountains standing close together. The image of keeping still. The superior man does not permit his thoughts to go beyond his situation. Wow, that sounds like the hexagram we just got done with. The knowing, the seeing things clearly. And the solution is, don't add to it. Don't add emotion to it. Just see it for what it is and keep still. All right, let me, here's the Book of Changes advisement. Moving slowly, we can achieve more. Unhurried ride provides an opportunity not only to reach a distant goal without riding a horse to death or breaking the wagon, but also allows much to see and learn. So we have come full circle. So we had the Dreambot with a little bit of a learning meme in the Dreambot. We had Mercury with a retrograde, so relearning from the past. And we also had Venus going to Sagittarius. So learning is actually a big concept here that the I-Ching pulled out. So go slower as you proceed this week. Go with conscientiousness, go with harmony, and go with what is right for you in your intuition. But move at a slower pace and learn from everything in your experience. Or maybe not everything, but whatever you have time for. Make sure you stop and reflect. Here's one last thing for the solution. Prediction. Forces were set in motion, but this is only the beginning. Do not hurry time and events. Way will be long, motion will be unhurried. Know how to wait patiently. Difficulties would be overcome if the effort is made. Difficulties would be overcome if the effort is made. All right? So we can even do this without Mars at our side. Let's go to our final slide here, and this is our final summary slide. Here's the influence. The top is pie in your face. We've got a face full of a bunch of stuff. A face full of reality could be coming to hit us, and we just need to see life clearly. See it for what it is. And here's the best solution. It's not necessarily put a smile on your face and just keep going, but it really is just to slow down, but keep going. Keep rowing through those emotions in the water. It is what it is. And I know that's just maybe an overused statement, but there is no labeling. There's no criticizing of what you're seeing. There's no blame. There's no judgment. It's just clarity. Seeing for everything for what it is. Make sure that you foster good relationships, foster close relationships. Not only do you have the Chiron effect in particularly the first half of the week, help people. If you're feeling like you're struggling, consider helping someone else in the manner of Chiron so that you get helped. And that's not egotistical. That's not a lowball way to help other people. At least they're getting helped. And it would be better if you can set the intention of just helping, just to help and not to get in return. But nonetheless, foster close relationships. So like vacationing together, that's the Venus and Sagittarius. Plan the holidays like we talked about, and coordinate together. And don't forget your finances, the financial piece of Venus. And this should be the week to iron out some long-term, long-range plans. That would be the second half of the week, maybe even signing new contracts. Those would be the second part of the week. I think some astrologers would advise not to make new contracts after the 31st while Mercury's in retrograde. But you can do the contracts before then. But nonetheless, you can be looking at some really healthy, good, solid, some distance together in those relationships, making it a fresh, new relationship. All right. I think I've covered everything. If I've forgotten something, if I misspoke, comments below. Thank you everybody for your likes and shares. I really appreciate everybody's support and comments. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.